Welcome to the Serious TV Drama Podcast, Survivor Edition. I'm your non-rapping host, Scott. And at my side for this episode, the machete of Survivor analysts, the way she just cuts everybody down. It's Tiffany. Hey, Tiffany. How are we doing
Hey,
tonight?
I'm well. How are you?
I've had one of those days. It's like, oh, got really good news, and then got some bad news. But the good news is more important. But the good news for our listeners is that we are here
Hey.
to shine our light, our bright, bright light, because we're such positive people. On the latest episode of Survivor 50 in the Hands of the Fans, it's the third episode that was titled, Did You Vote for a Swap? So let's get to it. Oh, by the way, yeah, I was going to say, yeah, this is one of those, I think someone felt, we got to strain for a title for this one. I was like, oh, okay, that's cute. Yeah. Not what I would have picked, but who cares? Let's just get to it as we will be picking up with the Scylla tribe. They're arriving at camp just after voting out Savannah. Oh, by the way, there's literally no talk about the fact they voted out Savannah. Did you notice that? They were like, because it was a landslide vote, so there's no reason to talk about it because
Yeah.
there's no difference of opinion. It's funny because we've seen a few of these votes that are like, oh, landslide. We might be seeing another one tonight. So there's probably not much to say because, like, okay, we took care of that. But no, more talk at camp is the concern over Christian's amazing pratfall in last episode. As Rick Devens has, his gleeful confessional about how they pulled off a heist. Although, oh, by the way, a couple of things here, Rico. And again, you're my favorite player of the season already. But first of all, a heist is where you take something away, not when you put something there. So it's not quite a heist. It's a caper, but it's not a heist. And number two, it's Danny Ocean, not Frank Ocean, who I believe is a singer, if I'm not mistaken, not the scoundrel in all those caper/heist movies, your Oceans 11, 12, and 13, and so on. Anyway, I think it's just kind of a moment we get here. We get to reflect on the fun that this little duo has potentially injected in the game. We don't know. It just might surface at some point. Because I got to say, Tiffany, I think last week, you had Devens as the player of the game, and I actually have another word for that phrase for that, which we'll get to at the end of the podcast. And I think I had more like a close second to Siri. I got to tell you, the more I thought about it, this little potential landmine he's buried at tribal council, it just kept making me smile. And and just that alone made me think, maybe I should have given him top honors. It was still really close, too close to call kind of a thing there for me. Again, we may never see that damn thing come into play at all, but they've done something which I've never expected. Every time anybody goes to tribal council, we're going to be like, oh, I hope this is the one where someone sees it, where someone spots it. And that's just to add that one additional element that's never existed before in Survivor. That alone might have been, he might have just had an impact in just the game overall, never mind an episode.
Yes, and I just love the way they, just got a kick out of doing it. I love the way that Christian was like, "Oh, yeah, I got a little light," and everyone's like, "Oh, you okay?" I loved it. I loved every bit of that.
They are bringing the fun, which
Absolutely.
is something I feel we've kind of needed on this show or just life in
Mhm.
general, perhaps. Okay. So I will also say that this was the first time I've gotten to see the actual opening credits for the show this season. I've had some issues when things were getting started and whatever. I've actually for finally was able to watch it in, I guess, actual real time. I finally figured out how to deal with streaming and whatever. Because you're old, you get oh no, we're talking about TV. Sorry. Anyway, so the first time I got to see the actual opening credits. All I'm gonna say is that they didn't do what I said they should have done, and I'm just saying, guys, lost opportunity. Shame, shame, shame. Just oh look, it's just pieces of footage from the first two challenges they did. Yay! That's no. You needed to do a shot of Colby from season two next to a shot of Colby from now, and I
Mhm.
blew it. All right. Anyway, for
Yeah.
for for the folks who know the podcast well, that's my yellow boots for this season. Anyway, I'll explain to Tiffany after. Anyways, we go back to Scylla, and they get tree mail. And this little riddle leads them to believe, and Emily, first thing we'll give her credit for in this episode, it was Emily is the first one to say she thinks they could be headed for a tribe swap.
Mhm.
But before we get to that, Christian and Rick talk about the idol that was sent to Aubrey. By the way, Tiff, I don't know if you feel the same way. At this point, it feels like someone off screen, don't know where, they're being forced to keep having to say Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol
Oh, for
instead of just
sure.
simply saying Boomerang Idol. I could just I can smell the meddling voices from up above here.
Absolutely.
And if that's making it annoying for me. I didn't mind that Billie Eilish had anything to do it. Don't care. That's cool. She's a
Mm.
fan. I actually like Billie Eilish. Think she's cool. Whatever. Da 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 da. But we're gonna have to keep saying that. It's like a brand thing. It's kind of it's kind of
Yeah, it absolutely. She must, like she
uh,
was donating some money
uh,
something.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just really, really annoying me.
it is.
But let's go to the opposite of annoying. The opposite of annoying is always Siri, and they do get a chance to talk to Siri,
Mm,
and that goes well. In fact, Siri is kind of like super positive about her alliance with them now. Like it really showed her something.
mhm,
So they still need to tell the fourth person of their little quartet alliance, but they never get the chance to get Emily away from anybody else to tell her. Because
mm,
to their credit, they're trying to be discreet here so no one catches on the way people do catch on to these alliances and have even in this season. But they just don't get that chance because next thing you know, boom, they, as well as the other tribes, head to what looks at first, oh, they're setting up for a challenge. Well, there is a challenge, and the challenge is forcing oneself to have to act like watching Jeff Probst rapped is tolerable fun.
Oh, I wrote, "Holy smoke, Jeff is rapping. Oh my god, why? Why?" And I wrote, why?
Here's
Why is this happening?"
here's the thing with what he did. If it was just him doing the rhyming thing and like, well, that's fine. That's fine. It's the fact that he went for this ridiculous, beat poet, everybody starts snapping. That was what made me cringe so badly. And I needed someone. And
Oh,
again, I don't have time to go back. I wish someone did, someone who's a smart ass there. I need just one person to kind of like cover their eyes in shame or embarrassment. And like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. It's like, I thought Survivor 50 was going to be special, but not that kind of special. Okay. Oh, got away with a joke there. So,
how embarrassing for everyone, like, it
yeah.
was just embarrassment.
But it's also here that Christian hurriedly whispers in Emily's ear about sending the idol to Aubrey. But he doesn't get to really tell her much beyond that, because of the circumstance or whatever. Um, well, the unforeseen, at least at this point, repercussions of that, we are going to be talking throughout this episode, but not now, because we're not up to that yet. Because right now, never mind repercussions, we got all new tribal configurations.
Mhm,
So let's go through them. The new Scylla tribe will be Rizgod, D, Siri, Camilla, Rick Devens, because can't call him just by one name,
mm,
Charlie, and Jonathan. Interesting tribe there. The new Vatu tribe is Mike White, the gross one, Angelina, Q, Christian, Ozzy, and Emily. And finally, the new Kahlo tribe is Aubrey, Colby, Coach, Chrissy, Tiffany, Genevieve, and Joe.
mhm,
And right off the bat, I thought it was interesting to see, and of course, it became an issue in the episode, and as well, it made sense that it was. I noticed right away that all three members or players from season 37, the David Goliath versus Goliath season, were
mhm,
all on one tribe.
mhm.
But as Christian himself pointed out, and we could tell by his attitude about Angelina earlier in the season, well, these other two did try to vote me out 4 times each. So it's not like they're such buddy buddy. At least That's how he wants to make them think, but he wants everyone to think. So, and also, and just to finish up this bit, and then we can talk about it a little bit more. There's no immediate challenge. They basically the tribes are just simply sent back to their camps to get to know each other. I personally thought there should have been maybe a little snack awaiting each of them, like an edible arrangement or something. But Survivor, cheap, 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 cheap. We're just going to spend all the money on the stupid tribal council out, set decoration and cheap out on everything else.
S
I I
so
I gotta say, and, I find the new combinations interesting because I like what they did. They
Mhm.
didn't they didn't do it as far as I could tell from what I heard if I overheard them correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, 'cause I might be wrong a lot this season. That wasn't random. Like, they had their names. They had come up with how they were gonna I don't think
Really?
that was
I
random. I do
thought
not
it
think
was
this was random.
really?
I mean, again, I could be if I'm wrong, I apologize, and, hey, it'll give listeners a reason to actually give us some feedback to say, "Scott, you don't know what you're talking about. You weren't paying attention." But I could have sworn there was something like their names were on the thing, and they took them that so it was done very specifically. I do not think this was a random draw. Now, if I'm wrong, I apologize, and probably everybody but my impression was it was not random. So,
Okay. I
but
have
if I'm
the
wrong, I'm wrong.
opposite, so we don't know. I'll go back and check. I thought it was random.
I mean, it I will say this, it's if I'm gonna be wrong about something, it's most likely this because I haven't read any I didn't read any recaps or articles or anything else about it because I didn't want it to cheapen our podcast, and rip off somebody else. But I could have sworn that was something that was said that he was mentioning people's names while they were plucking out the things. So I thought, oh, my interpretation in that moment, like, "Oh, this isn't random, that's interesting." And I thought that also because the way the tribes got divvied up was I thought was very interesting. I was like, "Oh, there seems to be a rhyme or reason to some of this madness." But again, maybe not. I just thought, "Oh, you still got Aubrey and Genevieve together on the same tribe.
Mhm.
Interesting,"
Mhm.
certainly, some things you could split, but some things, "Oh, wouldn't it be interesting if we put those 3 together on a tribe together?" Interesting, that kind of a thing, whatever. And yeah, I have this weird feeling that this was more deliberate than not. But again, check into that, and next time when we gather, we'll say if I totally screwed up on that one. I probably did.
Alright, no worries, we can check that.
But anyway, random or not, I found the new configurations very interesting, and as we got a chance to see during the course of the rest of the episode, we do get to see new things, people bouncing off each other and new tribe dynamics, and it's like, "Oh, okay." And now I'm remembering, oh boy, it's so nice to have an all-star season, but it's funny, like, some of these players, they go back so far, they've never been involved in anything called a tribe swap before.
Oh, wow.
Coach and Colby have never been involved in a tribe swap before. They've never experienced that. There's gonna be a lot of things. I think someone here, I think it's Rick Devens at some point. He's involved in a thing where they win an immunity challenge. I think he's the one who's never been part of a winning a team winning immunity challenge before. I think that's where I read. I think I did read that when I was like looking up some facts about this show in general. But anyway, my point was I really thought some of these combination I mean, there was a couple of things I thought, "Okay, I know where that's gonna go," and yes, it was. I mean, the minute you see, like, Colby and Coach on the same team, we know
Absolutely, and
and
Joe
Joe,
and
it's like, "Okay, we know that that's an automatic, whatever."
yeah.
But that also made me think that's why I thought it wasn't random. I was like, "Well, it feels deliberate to me." I just I could be wrong, you know? I even think that's just the way I read it. But I thought it was kind of an interesting combination, and you can split some of these people up because I think I think Kirk and Spock will return to each other, so I'm not worried about that.
Absolutely, yeah, the whole Joe with Kobe and Coach,
Oh,
saw that.
we're going
Yeah.
right there right now because
Yeah.
the first campsite we visit is the New Calo tribe.
Mhm.
Okay, Much like the beginning of the season with the Vatu tribe, this version of the Kalo tribe, it's a very balanced tribe. They even say it themselves. Of course, as we get from the very get-go, Joe is delighted with the new tribe. And as we just said, it's not a surprise that there'll be an immediate alliance between Colby Coach and Joe, because
Mhm.
they're the they're the resident kings of our favorite Survivor talking points, honor and integrity. I don't mind integrity. Honor, fuck you.
Yeah.
No, integrity is important. Honor, I don't care about it. It's Survivor. It's a game. In a game, you need to have integrity, honor. Shut up.
Mm.
It's a reality show. Come on.
Mhm.
Then you add Chrissy into that mix, which I thought, okay, that's interesting. But it led to Coach giving Chrissy some advice and telling her essentially, well, honestly, how bad an impression she had made previously on the previous tribe because of
Mhm.
her and kind of focusing on her talking so much and so on, even though it's more about how and what she was saying than just the amount. The problem is, or was in the episode for her, it really, really impacts her. She's clearly and visibly upset. After that, she's obviously, and she's teary at camp. She even goes to talk. She ends up going off to talk with Genevieve and Aubrey. So there
Mhm.
you go. Look, she's talking to other women. So, doing that whole thing.
Finally, but
But she recounts but she's upset because she also recounts how she wasn't terribly liked very well in the last time she played. And at that point, through her confessional and then clips, we learn, for those of us who weren't aware of it, and there's a lot more than even I realized, we learn about what she's gone through health wise since then,
mhm.
about the cancer and the surgeries and the removal of more parts than I was aware of, which it's hard not to be sympathetic towards her just as a person, never mind a player on Survivor, just
Yeah.
anyone having to go through that. And then one can therefore admire the fact she decided to come back and play, considering what she's gone through. Again, is that a reason I'll root for him? Not necessarily, but it's not. But it's a reason to root for her as a person, not as a player. Is the way I look at it. And since she kind of ends this segment by her saying, um, she needs. She knows she needs to change her game. For the sake of her game, she actually listens to what coach has said and even maybe talking to the two other women. And if she can change perception and the way she's been playing, we might see a Chrissy that we're more familiar with. And, we've watched Survivor long enough. And even some of the people who came back this very season, people can change. They can change the way they play and make corrections in it. I mean, a couple new era players that are here did that. I mean, Emily certainly did that in her season. I mean, remember how much we didn't like her at the beginning of the way she was? Genevieve also changed her game a bit, during her season. And this season she's trying to change it even more. So it, I just like the fact that we've got all these players, and I felt that there were players that we weren't focusing on yet. And this is an all-star season, so to speak.
Mhm.
And like them or not, and that goes for me because they're players who I didn't necessarily like, but I appreciate spending more time with throughout this episode. It's like, oh, we get to focus on this person more, and this person more, and this person more, because and then you realize there's a reason they brought this person back. Like here,
Mhm.
because maybe they can speak to the camera well in their confessionals. They can be, and it's also interesting. We'll mention it. I'll mention it again later that the people who got most emotional, whatever, were old era players, not new era players. And it's the new era players we sometimes assume are to be the weepy ones, but this time it was like the old era ones. But I felt more empathy for for the old era players than I ever did for the new ones.
Yeah, so to me, that really just kinda served to humanize Chrissy because,
Yes,
um, I did not like her. Now, I thought she played a decent game her first time,
right.
but I did not like her as a person. I didn't particularly care for her strategy, like I said. She really just kind of clung to the men. I mean, she was a great competitor physically, herself. She did really well, and she was a good strategist, but I felt like she just kinda clung to the men and did not really jibe with the women, which is problematic for me. So, it was really good to hear her tell her story. I mean, I knew some of it, of course, but to hear her tell it, to hear how she reflected back on, her past season and how she was perceived, and to, in that moment, go to the women to
Yeah.
speak. I like that.
Of
So,
course, it's
yeah.
funny. She goes to the two women who probably have the biggest rift between the two of them
I
in the
know.
season. So, but we'll be touching on that soon enough. Um, we go from there to we go back to the Scylla tribe. We always spend a lot of time with the Scylla tribe.
Mhm.
On that tribe, we have four former Kalo tribe members. And then we start realizing, let's see if Siri can still work her magic here. I do like her little aside to the confessional. I figured you like a Riz God, Lord help me. I thought that was really funny. But, oh, Siri, Dee and Jonathan are talking about you, and they're talking about how big a threat you are because everybody loves Siri, and they see it. And it's funny watching her. And again, we saw her on Traders. We've seen her on Australia Survivor just several months ago. And you've watched obviously her older seasons within the last few months. I haven't, but seeing her in action is like, oh, I see. There's a few people who can work a camp the way Siri does, and because she has that kind of a personality, people also kind of gravitate towards her.
Absolutely.
She's the no, forget this, putting aside the strategy part, and I think Siri is one of the best strategists. Of course, that is why she's a really good Survivor player. But just the likability factor,
Mhm.
there's always been a thing with, oh, you want to get rid of the likable people
Yeah.
because they're the people who can win over a jury. It's like, Siri is way too damn likable. There's a few
Every
players who are super likable, and there's a few
Yeah.
players who aren't. But she's definitely one of them. That's why I worry about like someone like Christian. Like Christian's very likable. That's a problem for Christian.
Yeah, but, like, there's no one that can say that they don't like Siri.
Oh
Like,
yeah, but
it's
but
just
what's funny here? We realize that once again, I think Siri is the most spoken about popular target of the season. Yet, even after, not much of a spoiler, even after this episode, even though she's shown up at Tribal all these times, how many votes has she actually gotten? None. She's gotten no votes, but she keeps getting brought up by people, you know, and you, and sometimes the people who bring her up go bye bye. So I, I'm going to say, D, I would be more worried about you right now. I think people might have a reason to keep Jonathan around.
Mhm.
You're a winner,
You're a winner. Like,
and you're also the last winner that remaining standing. I would be worried.
yeah.
Um, okay, so let's hit the Vatu tribe now. And there we have like Mike White, who is the only original Vatu member on the tribe.
Mhm.
But he points out that he likely has connections. Well, he actually has connections with everyone on that tribe from both inside and outside the game. He even refers to like knowing Ozzy because Ozzy has a restaurant in Los Angeles. He knows him from there and stuff. Okay, so at one point, Q tells Ozzy about the idol that Genevieve sent to Ozzy.
Mhm.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Q, and I don't want to say needlessly, tells Ozzy, because he says it in the sentence, I think he tells him about the actual boomerang aspect of it, because he refers to it as a boomerang idol, not just an idol. I think he ends up telling Ozzy what I mean, does it matter that much that'll go back to somebody? To Ozzy? Probably not. He still has to be careful how he plays it. But I kept thinking, why tell him? Why are you doing it? Although Q and strategy in this episode, uh,
Oh, yeah, we've got
yeah,
loads to dive into with that. I did not hear him tell him specifically that, "Oh, it goes back," or whatever. I think I
he
did hear him say boomerang.
definitely said boomerang, and even if we don't see it on screen, I think at some point, I mean, just the fact you refer to it as more than just an idol, as a boomerang idol, it's they didn't have Ozzy go like, wait, why is it called a boomerang idol? I'm pretty sure.
Well,
I
do
mean,
you
it's
think
also
Ozzy's really gonna pick up on that?
I think giving Ozzy short. I wouldn't underestimate Ozzy this season. Just saying.
I mean, you could be right.
I'm
Um,
not a fan, but we'll see.
we'll see.
Speaking of which, they bring in Emily, who is apparently freaked out by Christian just dropping the Aubrey Idol bomb on the mat earlier, which apparently ends up having the opposite effect from what Rick and Christian had wanted or expected. Because now all of a sudden she's really questioning the alliance, and she, oh, Emily, what are you doing? She's telling them about the Aubrey Idol from Christian.
Yeah,
What are you doing?
like, she's just and this is why Emily is so problematic to me, and even though she kind of changed up her game her first time or whatever, I never fully really liked her because she's so paranoid. She's so like, what she did this episode, the word vomit, I mean, so you go from, okay, so he tells you, and even if you're like, "Why you," or whatever, you don't even have a separate conversation with him when you guys end up on the same tribe. You immediately
Uh,
go
uh,
start blabbing to Ozzy and Q of all people, Q, of all people, Q. And then you realize you do that. Then you go back. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me.
No, you might. I think you're gonna end up jumping over something. That's why we do this, because
Okay. All right. All right.
well, after I mean, we're gonna keep. I mean, Emily plays a part in several every other scene here because after this we then see Q and the gross one talking to Emily, and
Mhm.
that's when Emily starts to question her choices here because
Yes.
she perceives that these two are driving the vote. She's just like a
Yes.
number two, just another vote.
Mhm.
Now here. What does she do? Does she go back to Christian now? No. She goes to Angelina and tells her everything. But at this point, I'm going, oh my lord. First of all, I just became Siri, apparently. No, I'm thinking, wait, is Emily now the new Chaos Cast after all? I made a joke about that like in one of these episodes. Now this just these last 5 minutes going, what is she doing?
Mhm.
She's blowing everything up. Also when she was talking with Angelina, speaking of players, old school players getting emotional, it's Angelina when she hears about all the negativity about herself. We get the second time an old school player gets really emotional, gets a little teary, whatever. And not to the degree because she doesn't have the same health issues or anything. It did the thing that you mentioned. It kind of humanized Angelina for me, and she's one of the players I really didn't care about. And it was like watching, like, oh, you know what? Just by spending a little bit more time listening to her talk, whatever. I'm like, I'm remembering you in the season now. It's like, okay, now I'm remembering why they brought you back. You were you were a you were a character. Now I
Yeah.
remember. Not necessarily a character I enjoyed that much, but at least I get it.
Yeah. It was an interesting tidbit to learn that Angelina and Mike White are close.
Yeah, if you don't watch The White Lotus, and I don't because I watched the first season and I kind of mostly despised it, so I've never watched it since. I don't care if it's been better since. I don't have a reason to go back and watch it. This Survivor. I like Mike White. I like Mike White a lot on this.
Mm.
He's done other things I can watch. I don't care enough to go back to even with Walton Goggins and the other. I know. I don't care. Don't care. Don't care. Don't care.
I
Don't
like
care.
White Lotus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't. The only thing I like about White Lotus is one of the words in the title. Anyway, so fine. What you have a problem with the word "the"? Anyway, so finally, Emily does go to Kristen. She's clearly apologetic, especially as he tries to explain to her that they wanted to tell her. They tried to tell her. They couldn't get a moment to get alone with her to tell her without being noticed. And then she goes on to confess how she's basically blown everything
Uh,
up.
yeah.
But here's where you got to give Christian a little bit of credit, although he does, at least in the commercial show, how intensely annoyed he is about the whole thing. But as unhappy as he is, he does ultimately think the situation can be worked to their advantage.
Mhm.
They can, there's a way they can flip it, which of course should always excite someone named Flippin. So okay. Now, from the get go why she wouldn't have gone to Christian first before doing all this other that I mean, if there's a problem with anything she did, that's problem number one.
Yes.
Because you do that first, then make your decision based on, now that you have time to talk and taking everything in, not just being impulsive and just think, oh, I don't trust this now because why would he do that? And then you run around town telling everything. Go to him for give him the chance to like, okay, now talk to me. What the hell you talk? Because when he whispers in her ear, she doesn't know anything about it being a boomerang idol or any of that.
Yeah.
All she knows is that they had an idol and they gave it to Aubrey. So for
Yeah.
all she knows, that means oh, she's a new ally. We want Aubrey as a new
Yeah.
ally. She she has so I think that's problem number one, and then we can work our way from there.
Like, the fact that she just went completely off the deep end like that, and like, I personally would not work with her again. Like, I would
Mm,
use her for numbers or whatever, but she's not someone that I would let be in my inner circle because she's too chaotic. She's too, like, any one thing can set her off, and she's thinking that, "Oh, you flip." Oh, like, you can't
yeah,
make a
okay.
solid
That's
alliance with her.
that's Tiffany. I think that's a fair and reasonable way to look at it. Yeah. If you don't show that you can have some sort of stability, um, where it doesn't take much to make you start questioning things,
Mhm.
then you become. I mean, they've say on this even this season, and not to sound like Joe or something, but if I can't trust you, that's a problem.
Mhm.
And if it takes just the slightest thing to make you kind of like spin out of control, that's a bigger problem.
Yeah.
You know,
At
you
least
gotta
trust that you're gonna come to me
yeah,
first.
right. You gotta learn to roll with the punches, or at least, you know, be rational. Like go to the person first,
Mhm.
talk, and then make your judgment based on it. You're not you're basing it on a whisper in your ear.
Mhm.
What you did flipping out is no different than Joe flipping out by the fact that Devon's bent over to whisper with Savannah for like, 15 seconds a couple episodes
Absolutely.
ago. Which was also I know some people thought it was a fair thing for him to question, and I did not because I didn't. It wasn't a long enough thing for it to have made any sense to me at the time. That's
Yeah.
the way I took it. Of course, the only people who seem to be saying otherwise are big Joe fans, and if you're a big Joe fan, you already have a problem with you. All right, so we go back to the Kahlo tribe, and there we see Genevieve. Genevieve, she's a talking and she's a plotting and she's a planning. She's showing off her brand new social game that she can talk to everybody and start she's going everywhere, making friends, making bonds. Wait, what is she doing? Oh, I see. She's planting bombs on about Aubrey every which way there she goes. And I'm like, oh, okay, we see what Genevieve is doing with this Genevieve versus Aubrey thing is going to continue. But Genevieve makes a mistake. She tells someone named Tiffany, speaking from experience, you don't tell anybody named Tiffany something important. No, oh, sorry.
You
Anyway,
ha ha
no.
ha ha ha.
Anyway, the problem is Tiffany had already decided, for some reason, Aubrey's going to be like her number one gal or something. Maybe she always wanted to work with her. Maybe she was an admirer of her game before. I don't know. All I know is that she immediately goes and spills all the tea to Aubrey.
I
So now,
loved it though.
so Tiffany now is Aubrey's survivor angel. I don't like either of these players. I kept wishing the log would turn over on them and knock them both out of the game. But I don't like either one of them.
You
I
don't
didn't.
like Aubrey?
No, why would I like Aubrey? She's
I
just an
thought you liked
oh,
Aubrey.
she's been annoying all season. Ugh.
Well, I mean, I think I like, first season Aubrey. I thought Aubrey was a really good player her first season.
Yeah,
I think she had a bad shake a couple of times or whatever. Even with this season, like, I have high hopes for Aubrey. Like, I think I wish that she had played her cards closer to her chest when it came to, Genevieve.
I I
I
didn't care for the way she spoke to Genevieve,
yeah.
and it made me as much as I already kind of liked Genevieve, it made me like Genevieve that much more because I was like, why are you doing that now? It's day two or whatever the heck it was, and you
Yeah,
just
it was
it
just
just
not
it turned Aubrey off for me. And again. I can be one back because I did like her once upon a time, but but I've often liked people and then grew to dislike them. That goes for most people I know. Anyway, so heading over to
And what do
the
you have against Tiffany? I
oh,
like Tiff.
let's have an issue with black people named Tiffany. So heading over to the village. No, Tiffany's the one who doesn't. Tiffany's the one who, like, I'm still like, nah, I still wouldn't have brought you back. I still think you're the
Yeah.
smart,
Yeah,
like,
I don't
you're still the least interesting player they brought back. I am not seeing the reason why they brought her back.
yes, I can agree with that. That's why I'm hoping that we're gonna see something later
Yeah,
because we haven't seen a lot of
let's see if
her.
she does something other than like use the word opportunity 3 times in a sentence. The when she does it earlier on. It was like, oh, look at you. Did you learn a new word today? Opportunity? But that
Uh,
wasn't. I don't know. Don't interpret it that way. I didn't do.
yes, you did.
Well, that's your interpretation. I can't help the way.
Mhm.
Maybe you need to check those ears. So heading over to the Scylla tribe, we have Rizgod. I wouldn't exactly say he's holding court. He's just talking to the camp, because he's talking about his Albanian heritage.
Mm,
But when we get past that, okay, here. This section, these handful of minutes here,
yeah.
I'm going to say for me and maybe for others, first of all, perhaps the highlight or one of the major highlights of the entire episode. And the way this unfolds based on editing and thought, whatever, brilliant. I mean, kudos to the people behind Survivor. They got their shit together and really put things nicely. So let's start with the number one thing. When Rizzo asks Charlie about Maria and if they're still talking and all that. So it gets brought. I did not think they were actually going to bring it up.
I loved it.
They brought it up. We even get to experience a replay of what happened in that infamous season between Charlie and Maria. We have them talking at the reunion and Jeff talking to them. That the infamous vote that should have been a tie and wasn't, and you see the reaction in Charlie's face when Kenzie won and all that other stuff. And then you see Rizzo wants to use the Charlie looking for a redemptive arc idea to his advantage, which, to Rizzo's credit, that's really fucking smart. And
Mm,
he tells him about the boomerang idol.
mm,
And you see Charlie's face literally just lights up with this newfound knowledge because it's telling him a bunch of things. First of all, every time someone finds out about the boomerang idol, it's not just that they find out about the boomerang idol and someone has an idol and what the boomerang idol does. They're finding out for the first time there are idols in the game. Because up
mhm.
until this point, they don't know. They know that's something fans voted on. So until someone is told there's an idol, you're assuming you don't know if there's going to be idols in the game. So it's
Yeah.
kind of doubly important. So right up to that point, this is already like pretty cool, pretty amazing. Brought up the Charlie Maria and stuff. As listeners may or may not realize, me and Tiffany both really liked Charlie that season. I think we were both rooting for him, and we both thought Maria kind of did him dirty, etc. We don't need to talk about it much more than that. I think we talked about it
Yeah.
a few podcasts ago. And this is like, oh, this is such a smart thing done by Rizzo. No, he's going to be in like Flynn with Charlie now, except, and this was the turn I wasn't expecting. And I got so like, oh, also, by the way, it's the first time we've really gotten some, I mean, other than putting on a damn toe ring or something, we got some decent time with Charlie and reminded me, oh, yeah, I forgot. I really like Charlie. Then someone tapped me on the shoulder. Didn't you pick Charlie for one of your final three? Shut up. I remember what I did. Anyway, it turns out that Rizgod, has been on Charlie's mind, but in a bad way. Because turns out the Rizgod made a mistake himself, talking about how he voted at his own final tribal the night before. And he made it sound like that despite being allies and friends with Sophie, he nevertheless chose to vote for Savannah,
Mhm.
which sort of tells people like us, and probably most, if not all of our listeners, the people who actually watched that season, Rizzo really didn't do a great job of describing what happened, you know, because now, unless he said this to Charlie, before they found out that Savannah had been voted out. I mean, that wasn't clear, but it seemed to me like this was done after the fact.
Mhm.
That's my impression. Again, they because he act like it was the night before. Savannah's already been gone already, I believe. Because if he thought Savannah was still in the game, then he's saying that because he wants to make it clear that he's not allied or linked with her. That's the reason why you would say that. But if Savannah's already out of the game, why are you saying this to begin with? And plus, we watched that season. I'm sorry. The main alliance was you and Savannah for like the entire season. Sophie came in later on. I mean, maybe you liked her better by the end of it, but you were the there's no question who you would be voting for because you'd be voting for the person that you had the major alliance with for most of the season. So Rizzo did a horrible job of describing what he did. He made it sound like almost the total opposite, but
Yeah.
he kind of unintentionally and maybe just had distanced himself from the Savannah, which again, if she's already out of the game, it makes no sense. Even if she's in the game, I think there's still a different way to go about that. I don't know. But here's the problem. It's this story that really made Charlie think about the whole Maria situation. And then he goes, "Oh, I don't want someone like Rizzo on that jury, even if he's alive. So he wants him out of the game."
So, I'm not a big Rizzo fan, so
I know,
I
I know.
loved it, and I think it's just a situation of Rizzo being young and, you know, I think he was good on his season, like, he's a character, right?
Yeah.
And he was able to, use his idol and, like, what he did on his season was fine, but you're up against, like, some major players in this
Hmm.
one, and he's younger, it's a different, era, and I think that he was fanboying and talked too much and revealed too much and thought he was trying to whether in his mind he was trying to distance himself with Savannah, thinking blah, 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 oh, whatever, but he outplayed himself
Yeah.
by just talking, just diarrhea of the mouth and not having any kind of situational awareness. The Charlie Maria situation. That was not the story to tell and how.
Right.
So I
Right.
think
He
he
clearly knew about it because he asked him about it.
yeah,
Then,
he
uh,
Rizzo'd himself.
yeah, if you're going to tell a story, then you tell a story that makes it sound like I wouldn't have done that.
Mm,
And quite frankly, that's why I'm curious. There's two things to figure out between now and the next episode. Um, was the tribe swap random or not?
mhm,
I think most assume it was. I could have sworn it wasn't, but I'm going to say I'm probably wrong about it but I'm still going to say that's what it was until I hear otherwise. And here, did Rizzo talk about this before or after they knew that Savannah was out? Because once they were, it had to be after, because he's talking to Charlie. He's talking to Charlie, and they're a new tribe. When they showed up for together for the tribe swap, that's when everyone sees
he's
there's no
the Savannah.
Savannah. So
Yeah,
he says it to him after. Okay, then he shouldn't have said anything. There was
mhm.
no reason to do that. There was literally why. Why are you bringing it up at all? I don't even see the advantage of bringing up that story.
Well,
Dumb.
what
It's just dumb.
what probably happened was maybe people were because remember, they don't know him, they don't know Savannah, so maybe they were asking questions
Right. That's probably the
about
case.
the season, and then
But
him
but
just
maybe but you don't need to say everything. You,
yeah,
you know,
like, they probably asked him how far he got. So, if he was on the jury, so then they probably asked, like, "Well,
right?
who
But
did"
but but what I would say, here's the thing. I would think it's safe to say it's maybe, did you get to the jury or were you in the final one? Because there's no one who's on the show who didn't at least at the very minimum get to a jury.
Yeah, okay.
All these players, anyone who's on Survivor 50
Yeah,
made the merge in their seasons. I think
yeah,
that goes without saying.
yeah.
I think they wanted to know whether he was one of the finalists or not. Like, and you could just say, no, quite frankly, I don't even, I'm personally kind of forgetting myself. Wait, wasn't the two of them, didn't the two of them make it? Wasn't it Riz, Savannah, and Sophie? Weren't all three of them in the final three?
No, because he voted for
Oh,
Savannah.
that's right. I'm sorry, what
So
the
I think he
Oh, he
made it
was
to the Final
4th.
4.
He
Yeah,
got I think he lost in the was it the
yeah.
fire challenge?
So
Take it off?
I forgot, but yeah, he didn't make it to Final 3.
Yeah, he didn't make it to final 3. Okay, then all he could've said I made it to, 5th or 4th, whatever, and I was one of the people who voted for Savannah because because pretty much almost everybody voted for her 'cause she
Yeah,
clearly played the best
she
game.
played the bass game.
That's it.
That's it.
There's no you do yourself no advantage talking about this other stuff. There's no th wha I just I don't mean, it's too bad we can't see footage of it because 'cause I'd like to see it because 'cause I'm just curious, why are you telling that story?
Mhm.
And the thing is, they're hanging out at a campfire. There's no alcohol involved, so you can't blame booze, for being too much of a chatty Cathy. I it just I didn't get doing that, and then, well, you cost yourself a possible alliance here, so there
Yeah.
you go. Okay, uh, I've taken a little bit longer on that than I meant to, so let's move on to we're at day 8, and it's the immunity challenge. Now, this is one of those challenges where you have that one caller from up high. Everyone else is blindfolded. Different pairs have to walk, essentially an obstacle course to find these rings, 3 rings in different places. One's buried, one's around the pole, so on. The pairs have to collect all the rings. This all eventually leads to them getting to a puzzle where the caller still has to direct a blindfolded pair of people to put together a puzzle for the win. There's also some rewards involved as well. Yay, old school rewards. Again, we're back with chickens. 4 chickens for first place, 1 chicken for second place, which means you better just like eggs on that tribe, and tribal council for the third and last one. So we have the main thing to point out here is you have 3 callers. Camilla crushes it as a caller. I mean, she and her team dominate throughout this entire challenge. They win it, no question. Chrissy had a few rough spots during it, but still, at the end of the day, there it is. Still, at the end of the day, she is able to guide her team to a second place win. Christian sadly is unable to lead the team anywhere to yet another tribal for him at least. I'll say this. I mean, other than I actually was concerned, honestly concerned for Colby for a second there, because he smashed his head into that thing, and for a minute there, I thought, oh, and when Jeff is going like, "That's what Survivor is. You get a little blood." Like, dude might have a concussion. Did you know that he smashed his head? It's not
Yeah.
about blood at this point. It's about hematoma on the goddamn brain potentially. The thing I would say about this, and then I'll get your take here. Of all the things that they do on Survivor, the Survivor challenges specifically, I personally, in a lot of ways, I think the caller job, because we've seen some variations on this over the seasons plenty of times. I find that to be one of the most challenging and stressful things one has to do in Survivor, because if your tribe blows it, they blame you. It's all on you,
Absolutely.
man.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
and that's so much pressure.
It is. I would never choose to be that role because like, I can't imagine being in such a stressful situation. You have a, "No, your other left, my right, you hear my it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah, because
That's not a it's a thankless position.
you've got multiple people screaming out stuff, as well as Jeff loudly narrating at the same time, and people, reacting and probably whining and yelling as they're smashing into things, whatever,
Mm,
And I thought initially I thought Christian was doing it well, and then it just got away from them, and then they were just unable to do anything once they got to the puzzle part. I mean,
yeah.
they didn't even have like one piece in place as far as I can recall.
Mhm.
So what was weird and worrisome when we end the challenge segment is, when as they're leaving the playing field, before they even get to Vatu camp, first thought you're thinking is, "Oh no, is Christian in trouble now?" Because if you're gonna blame someone on the tribe for losing that one, blame's gonna fall on him, right or wrong, because at the end of the day, that's why you don't wanna do the caller thing. It's too it's too much.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I like it's one of those challenges I don't mind watching because I find it fascinating to try to direct people who are blindfolded and especially putting the puzzle together. So it really shone a light on both Camilla and Chrissy, I thought.
Mhm.
I mean, Camilla, I thought was really impressive. And she definitely, that's a highlight for her for the season so far.
Mm.
And after what we saw Chrissy go through earlier in this episode, to then be basically the person who helped who was the main reason why your tribe won immunity. That's a great little, even if it's just for this one episode, it's a great little arc for her for this
Yeah,
episode.
I agree.
So that kind of made the challenge more interesting for me to watch than they normally tend to be. Usually I'm just like, all right, let's just get to it. Let's get into it.
Yeah.
So we get to the final segment of the episode, which is spending time at Vatu camp, where, it's usually, um, I don't know if I call it the slight scramble, but not scramble, or slightly scrambling. But we spend a little time with each person. And first, we're spending time with Mike White. Mike White, who still will be one of the most entertaining people on this because he's just a funny, smart guy, and I relate because, he real writer, wannabe writer over here. And we find out, as he tells us, the viewer, that he would like to vote out Q.
Mhm.
And and he lays it out. I like when people lay out the reason, and it's not always the obvious one, like, like earlier with D and Jonathan talking about Siri. But but Q, once he says it, it's like, oh yeah, that's a good reason why to get rid of him. Because he said, because Q, because of his personality, he's a dominating force kind of a person, but he's such an unpredictable player. You can't. I mean, you talk about the way we were talking about, like, say, Emily before. If there's a player that I don't necessarily want to work with, Q is just as is maybe more worrisome, quite frankly.
Absolutely.
And as he ends up doing in this episode, and as we saw him do one, back in this, he makes the strategic decisions that are like, wait, what are you doing? What?
Yeah. Like, wha it made no sense whatsoever what he did.
No, it's silly. I mean, someone like Q, and you look at that tribe, you can see why Mike doesn't want to play it like that in the mix. You can see how he can probably figure out how to work with other people
Mhm.
and work them to his advantage. By the way, I love the ads for the next episode, but Q just would not work there. We spent like a moment here or there with a few other people before we get back to more Q stuff. Angelina's kind of worrying about Emily now, but Ozzy, he's leading towards voting out Angelina because he wants to break up the David and Goliath trio that's now formed on the tribe. Now, Mike White, he tells Q that they're aiming for, the gross one,
Mhm.
but Q thinks he's cute. He thinks he's being slick because he's going to tell Mike to vote for him.
Like, there was no purpose. Like, what
It,
you first of all, you have no vote queue.
yeah. Oh, but he's trying to make Mike think he's got the extra vote. He's trying.
Mm.
He don't got no vote. He got two vote. Meanwhile, he's playing right into Mike White's hands. It's another dumb strategy for Q, which reminds us, we can't help but remind us, hey, remember when he told everyone just to vote for him during his
Yes.
season of Survivor, which also made no sense. Him lying and misrepresenting the idea that he even has an extra vote. Emily, here she is again. Telling you. It's, chaotic Emily, though she is. She's the first one says she's on to him. It's like, and she's the one that says he thinks he's putting one over on us. And it's like, exactly, Emily. Exactly. Now, Ozzy initially is wary about voting out Q. At
Mm.
least he has a reason because he's where you lose a one of your few physical players on the tribe. Ozzy keeps ending up at tribal with whatever tribe he's on, even though it's never really his fucking fault. He's just that, and he's not used to this. It's not what as they say later on at the actual tribal council. So, as everything is playing out, as she's been for most of this episode, it becomes more and more clear Emily is the true wild card here, that she's caught between alliances and voting blocks and whatever you want to call them. Oh, what will she do? What will she do? That is probably one of the main questions, other than who are they really going to vote out before we go to tribal council. And like I said, like giving away like you don't have to be the best player to be the player at the episode
Yeah, you just yeah.
because so much. Now, what I liked about all this, this seemed like a lot, but it took place in a really short period of time. Because when by the time we come out of commercial and everything, I'm like going, wait, we've got so little time left in this episode, and we haven't even gotten we have the camp stuff. We haven't gotten the tribal yet. Like, but it was just pure, like we said about the Australia versus the world one, just concentrate, just pure, everyone just strategizing and
Yeah.
so we go to tribal council. And, there's a little discussion as we start about the uncertainty due to fans running the game. Are we running the game? Really? Then you get some little stuff with Angelina and Mike, and there are people talking about playing different versions of the game before. Are they really? Are they really playing different versions? Are they?
Well, okay, before
Eh,
we get into that, you have to acknowledge Christian interrupting Mike White.
I haven't gotten it to it yet. That's
Oh,
why I do things in chronological order.
alright, okay, I'm sorry, that was just so I like
I know it's the best part of the damn. It's
yeah.
it doesn't Jeff doesn't make up for his dumb rapping, but he comes so close because it's one of Jeff's best moments in a
Yeah.
while. When Mike White is talking and doing it, and Christian interrupts with this analogy about death, and Jeff points out, it's like, no, no, it's fine. Why not? You just interrupt literally one of the best storytellers, in the world. And like, and Christian takes it. It's like, I'm just gonna leave now. And I'm like going, and there was some interaction between Christian and Mike. Clearly, them remembering them playing, like, I thought the Christian Mike stuff was hysterical. It was
Yeah.
definitely the best stuff at Tribal. Um, Speaking of analogies, we get Cube weighing in with kind of a pass-fail school-like analogy. I was like, oh, wow, bubble sheets. I'm surprised they didn't say Scantron. And then Emily, there she is again. There she is again. She's talking about people's feelings, but then she points out that we all signed up for a game. She's pointing out that we should know it's a game in which you lie and deceive and so on. Basically, the anti approach to the whole honor integrity crap we're hearing on a certain other camp. Who said that? Emily said it. So,
Which,
the fact,
I agree.
the fact.
We agree on that.
So we get to the vote. Oh,
We
and the vote. Oh, do you want to say something before we go? Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I'm going to say this every episode.
Uh-huh.
I really, really, really hate Ozzy's weird haircut.
Oh, Jesus.
I get distracted by it.
Okay. Hey, we all have our things. Um, my only thing that I thought of was this is our first episode for it to happen. I was paying close attention to people lighting their torches and being by the fire. I kept going, are
Same.
they gonna do I kept going, is the cameraman gonna give us a shot of it or not? And they did not. I was just so I mean it's too late now. I'm sure it's all been cut together. I said, hey guys, you need to just do a quick shot of it every time. People go to tribal. It's just like back in the day when there would be like, oh, they've hidden the additional whatever advantage or idle clue, and it'd be like on the underside of a bench during when where you're sitting out a
Yeah.
challenge or something, and no one sees it, and you see it, and they keep showing it. You should show that every episode, and just so we can get an idea of like, is how easily viewable is that from where you're sitting, or do you have to be standing over there, or when you first get up, just to make it clear, because he put it there for a reason. He wouldn't have just put it somewhere that no one's ever going to see it. So I just need to get the logistics of it. All right, the vote, and you know what? We get another damn landslide. This time the rocks fall on Q. Q. Q is out. Ozzy changed his mind. I like that he seemed to act like he was responsible, and Q asked him if it was you. And I'm like, he's like, dude, it was everyone.
Everyone. Like
And Ozzy basically went along with it because Ozzy was like the one guy who probably didn't, other than, excuse me, I misspoke. It was not a landslide. I
well,
made a mistake. I forgot. The Stephanie, or the gross one as I refer to her. She voted for Angelina. I did, so I did make a mistake. There was one other vote. Q's
Yeah,
vote.
she's
Q
the only
didn't. Q because I was thinking just it was just the one vote. That's Q. I was like, oh wait a minute. Q didn't have a vote. That was Stephanie's vote. So there you have it. Now what's interesting now,
Mhm.
either by vote or medevac, can't help but notice three of the first four players out of Survivor 50 are all new era players. Interesting.
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 It's I I want to say that's a shame, but it's not.
Yeah.
Although I'll say this, obviously Kyle doesn't count because Kyle's it was a tragic situation because of an injury. I mean, I didn't like the idea of bringing back someone who just won just 2 seasons ago, but that was still an unfortunate way to go.
Mhm.
Um, but of the new era people, I would have liked Q to have stuck around a little bit longer because he adds something to the show. He does add, I didn't mind I enjoyed this happening. I mean, mainly because I was worried about them turning on Christian or something. That was my main
Yeah.
concern. I mean, but if they decided to get rid of Angelina, I kind of would have been all right with it, you know?
Well, I do kind of like that Christian, Mike White, Angelina kind of combo. Like,
Yeah,
want them being the majority for this particular tribe. Now,
I
yes,
agree. I
Hugh
agree with
is
that.
very good TV. Yes, absolutely. He's very good TV, but he just gets on my nerves. Like,
I
he's a
know.
character.
Yeah.
He's not really a good player. And I want to see good strategic players in
Yeah, no, no,
that's an
you're not wrong about that. You're not wrong about that. I'll give you that one. All right, so here we let's. I've been referencing it all night. Maybe talk about the player. We can say players, right? And I said I'm gonna come up with something a bit more catchy than that, and you can't do goat or any of those stupid things. And so I'm gonna go referring to it from this point on as the torchbearer, right? The one whose torch burned brightest. Now, like I've said, they might not have to be the best player of the night, although that would certainly help if they are. But for me, it's a player, the way I'm reading it, the player that stood out the most, had the most impact, you know, they're the torchbearer. Maybe they burned it all down. you know? The one thing I thought about this episode, even though obviously there were a lot of standout funny moments, like say with Christian or Mike Wyatt or early on with Devins, whatever. But honestly, I felt this was a very female driven episode
Yes.
because I thought the people who really stood out for me as far as at the end of the episode were the people I mentioned already. I thought your two callers, Camilla and Chrissy,
Mhm.
and Emily. I think those three kind of stood out more than anyone else in the episode for me personally.
Mhm.
Um, I thought it was a great episode for Camilla because she's obviously bouncing back from the news of Kyle being out, whatever, and we talked about that might actually help her game. Shout out once again to Rob Cesarino for saying that before so I can never take credit for having that thought. Uh, Chrissy, I thought made a nice little comeback within the confines of this episode. The person who was told they talk too much was the person doing the calling for the challenge and at least got them a win. I
Yeah.
thought that was like, no, I don't know if it's irony, but it's something. But I gotta say, and I'm giving it to Emily, not because she was the best. She wasn't. I felt so much in this episode revolved around her perceptions, her misperceptions, her decisions, good and bad, her strategies. Yeah, look, the other two, they deserve props for the challenge, but for the overall episode, eh, for me, it's Emily. That's who I
Well,
got to pick.
yeah, I absolutely agree. It was Emily that was the catalyst for everything, that happened this episode pretty
Yeah,
much. Um,
even if we yelled at the screen the most at her,
yeah.
that still worked. Because I was going, no, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
You're
Yeah.
ruining everything.
Um, I I don't like her from this episode. Like, I just she's not someone
Well,
that I would
let's
want to play with at this point.
right.
Yeah.
But we should also, as we have before, always have to point out in the first few weeks of her own season, we really didn't like her. And by the end of it, I know I liked her, and I was shocked by it, and I don't recall you disliking her, quite frankly. You
No, I
know,
didn't dislike her, I respected her game more, like, I absolutely respected
she
her.
when if she can there's probably a certain amount of pressure on players like her and a few of the other newer players
Mhm,
because they're in this mix of Survivor 50. It's an all-star thing. You've got multiple people that they're icons of the game, people who've played this a number of times before, who've spent not 20 something days there or whatever, but 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 days, whatever.
mhm,
There's a certain level of pressure playing with these people more so than just some average cast. If they had done a cast with like fans and just new era Survivor, she'd probably be one of the most dominant players. But you're playing with all these old school people, who, it kind of takes you out of it a little bit. She's probably. It seems to me she's kind of letting it affect her more than she should.
yeah,
I again, if she had just spoken to Christian first, she's probably fine. It's okay to overreact to something, but don't act on it until because once you say you're on the same tribe again, you have an opportunity to talk to him again.
exactly.
So she made an incredibly bad decision to not do that, and then she kept compounding it. So I was like, she wasn't a good player this episode, and the way she played, you're absolutely right. Why would you want to align yourself with someone who did that? But maybe this is a teaching lesson, a lesson for her episode. And, from this point on, because she doubted her alliance with Christian, she reestablishes it here. Will she question it again? I mean, quite frankly, if she does, then they need to double back and get rid of her.
Yeah.
So to me, I think she's gonna get a second chance here. But if she starts to be that way again, then yeah, they might need to cut her sooner than later, get rid of her, because you never know who she might end up pairing up with at this point.
Yeah, because she told everybody on the tribe pretty much except for Mike White. That was the only one we didn't see her have a conversation with, where
See, there
she
there is one other thing though that why I don't mind that. The thing is, the person whose game I mean, yeah, she impacted Christian's game to a slight extent because they know he gave it away, but who cares? That means he doesn't have it.
yeah,
It fucks up Aubrey's game more than anybody else. Because now there's an entire tribe of people who already know she has an idol.
yeah.
And since I have already established I'm not a big Aubrey fan so far this season, oh no, did Emily might have messed up Aubrey's game? Oh, I'm so sad. Screw her. And come on, Genevieve, take her out. So that way Kristen can get that idol back. That's what I want to see happen.
I well, we'll see what happens. Yeah, she was just so crazy, like, and I feel like her first time playing, she was a much more, like, strategic. Like, once she got past those first few weeks of just kinda being on,
Oh,
like, she then was, like, really
oh,
focused and
okay.
strategic and
Well,
smart, and
it's been a week, so we'll see.
we'll
It's
give
been a
her
week.
we'll see what happens, but, it made
She needs to be.
me
She needs to be on a. You know what she needs? She needs to be back on a tribe with Siri. Siri is a calming presence for her. They
That
can
is
lie
true.
back and talk and think and work out stuff. That's
Yeah,
that's what
you're
she
right.
she needs. She needs the warm blanket of Siri.
You're right.
Put her, put her. That's what she needs.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
But all in all, again, just to put a bow on everything, I think we are in agreement on one. Well, on a lot of things actually, but one thing is like we're 3 episodes in. Gosh darn it, this is a good season. This is
It
like
is. A
this is I
lot
mean,
is going on.
I mean, a friend said, a couple weeks ago, said, best first episode since, When Is It War, whatever. It's like, yeah, because there's something about having an all-star season, and I think maybe I don't say we're surprised necessarily, but we weren't excited about a number of the people they were bringing back. But the way people are gelling or not with each other is making for some interesting combinations and whatever. And I'm like, okay, all right. I mean, let's see what happens. Some of my older opinions of people are starting to come back. They're going, oh yeah, I don't really like that person that much after all. But give me another episode. The ad for the next episode, I won't recount any of the moments or scenes if you've either seen it or you haven't. Um, I'll say there's one thing that looks really stupid, and it's the thing that fans were kind of worried about, like, oh Jesus, why? But other than the thing that looks really stupid, everything else looks really cool. So it's like, okay, so I think 80% of this episode is going to be really great, and 20% is going to be really stupid. So I was like, oh, look, a celebrity on the island. No, they are doing that.
Yeah.
Yay, Zach Brown or whatever
Who
his name is.
I don't know who that guy is.
Some music dude.
Okay.
Oh, some music dude.
Mhm.
All right. Oh, I found my little sound box. Let's see if it works. So, reaction to seeing celebrities on the island would be something like, let's see if that comes through on the post edit. Anyway, don't boo us, but you can email us at STVD podcast. That's S as in serious, TV, drama, STVD podcast at gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and join any number of conversations that might start there. Just look us up on Facebook under the Serious TV Drama Podcast. By the way, you can find us on X, Twitter, and Instagram too. Figure it out. Serious TV Drama, whatever, you'll find us. I don't care. Um, More importantly, Tiffany, thank you again so much for joining me on this fun time in Fiji. You didn't mention what you were drinking tonight, even though I could see you swigging back while we were talking.
I am back to my red wine, Apothic Red Blend.
Oh, that's why. Okay. I thought we were going to get a different wine every week, people.
Well,
Tiffany's cheap like the producers on Survivor. I mean, oh, do you think they're going to do a Survivor auction with the All Stars? They have to,
they
right?
have to.
They have to.
They have to.
If they don't, I'm saying it right now, if they don't have a Survivor auction, no watching because I don't know if that was something the fans got a chance to vote on, but there better be a Survivor auction. You brought back
Yeah.
all these people and you don't give me a Survivor auction, I'm going to be so pissed off. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just popped in my head just now because I love Survivor auctions so much.
I
It's a little weird how much I like Survivor auctions.
a little bit, you
A
know?
little, but there's some, you know what? It's because, I mean, obviously we're watching something and we've been for the last 25 years. And they call it, it's a reality competition, which is what it is. But for some reason, the Survivor auction has more of an old school game show feel to me than anything else because it usually involves, it's money and it's like let's make a deal. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Mhm.
It's what it is because let's make a deal. People think it's all about the curtains. Like no. If you actually watch any episode, it could be from the 1970s or from 7 weeks ago. They do things where it's a small thing and they just lift up. You don't know what's under it, whatever. That's what they do on Survivor. It's let's
Mhm.
make in fact, you know what they're going to do? They haven't told us. I bet Wayne Brady's going to show up because white people love Wayne Brady, and yeah, shout out to shit pal, and, and he's gonna be the one to do it. Actually, that see if you brought back him to do that instead of maybe the supposedly we're going to see like Jimmy Fallon or something, that would make more sense. Anyway, so Tiffany, I meant to be thanking you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me again on our little Fiji fun time.
My
Uh,
pleasure. I'm looking forward to next week. Next week is gonna be a really good one, I think.
Yes, there's something that happened in the end that I'm not really clear what's going on, and it's like, okay, I'm sure that's just some sort of stunt, little silly thing that they're doing.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it
I know
looked,
what you yeah.
but for a second, like,
Yeah.
did someone just punch somebody? Because that would be amazing. I know it's not what it was. I'm sure it was just like a play fight,
Yeah.
whatever. But that's
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Is considering who was doing the punching and who got
Yes,
punched.
exactly, and that was
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
Anyway, and for our listeners, thank you for checking us out, and remember to go out the same way you went out the last time. In the same clothes, the same buff tie to your head, and with the same smile too. Go out like Q. Go out like Q. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.